look at the specific kind of patterns just really briefly, because again, I said I have lots of things I want to talk to you guys about. You have the list there up on the slides, and to just talk about a few and how they might look while you're seeing a young adult in your office, or if you're watching this because you're worried about a loved one. These are some things to think about. So cross-tolerance means early exposure to one addictive process or substance sets you up to sort of more quickly pick up another process or substance to an addictive level. So imagine things like early exposure to games or pornography might set up just kind of a pattern of kind of click numbing we talked about. And so if someone is trying to be sober from pornography or video games, but they find themselves just sort of aimlessly searching the web, that's something to keep an eye on. Withdrawal mediation is I'm using one substance or process to not feel the withdrawal from others. So those who are in substance recovery may fall into process behaviors like gaming or sex because they're feeling the effects of not being able to use their drug, which is, you know, a natural desire to avoid pain, but we don't want them to start using what might not be a compulsive behavior in a compulsive way, so that then they have to start curtailing that later in their life as well. Replacement is just switching. So you've gotten dry from one addiction and you've moved to another, pretty self-explanatory, and they like to move in all different directions. Alternating cycles. You can have an isolating cycle where maybe somebody is really introverted and using their tech to just sort of be alone and maybe use alcohol and marijuana, but then they have a different phase where they finally want some attention or they want some human interaction, and so they may switch over to using their tech on hookup apps and things like that so that they can have a social part of their interaction, but maybe to get over their nerves there, they might switch to stimulants so they could be more sexually performative or things like that. So you look for cycles that might switch. Masking is when we use one addiction to hide the presence of another. So let's say somebody, you think they're in their room video gaming a lot, but actually a good chunk of that time is spent soliciting people online or watching pornography. Is that inherently bad? No, but we want to look at patterns where the behavior is becoming compulsive and detrimental in areas of people's lives. Numbing is I'm just using anything I can find, whether it's a substance or a process, to numb out my feelings. I can't handle feelings of pain, frustration, anger, that kind of stuff. Combining is when I combine multiple substances or processes together to get a more intense experience. So you might have things like using sexual flirtation to enhance your gaming experience. Combining alcohol and stimulants creates basically like almost an entirely different drug, is what my addicts have described. And so they don't want to do one without the other. They're looking for that very specific combined experience, which also goes with ritualizing, which I skipped over, which is doing things in a very specific pattern to get a very specific emotional result. Disinhibiting is I might use substances like alcohol or marijuana to make myself more relaxed and feel more free to chat with people or expose myself online or things like that. And then fusion. Fusion is where two addiction interaction patterns have become fused. You don't want one without the other, and if you do one, you're likely to trigger the other. Now, for our young adults, one place that this is going to be really challenging is the fusion of sex and meth. Now, lots of other things can fuse, but sex and meth particularly seem to like to fuse to each other. That has ramifications for like our young gay men who may want to be out having sex, but that has been fused with drugs for so long that when they try to go out and have healthy, normative, appropriate, fun, creative sex with their partners, they suddenly find that they're having a highly intense urge to use their drugs again. So something really to keep an eye on as somebody is maybe in a later stage of recovery and wanting to move back into reincorporating some of their behaviors like their sexuality.